Commander Taemin stood on the bridge of his ship, the Soul's Pride, watching the dark space in front of him. His hands were steady on the metal rail, but his heart was beating fast. Something was coming. The sensors had been picking up strange signals for 3 days now. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Byung-ho from his station, "the deep space scanners are showing something big." "Really big?" Taemin walked over to look at the screen. 12 small dots represented his scouting fleet, spread out across the edge of Earth's solar system. They had been out here for 6 months, setting up warning systems and watching for trouble. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. "How big?" Taemin asked. "At least 300 ships, sir. Maybe more." The bridge went quiet. 300 ships was more than Earth's entire defense fleet. Taemin's 12 ships were just scouts. They had light weapons and basic shields. They were not meant to fight a real war. "Signal the other ships," Taemin said. "Tell them to go to battle stations." Captain So-jin's voice came through the radio from her ship, the Busan Guardian. "Taemin, are you seeing this?" "My sensors are going crazy." "I see it," Taemin replied. "Stay calm and keep watching." Across the fleet, the other captains were reporting the same thing. Captain Ji-ho on the Incheon Shadow said his stealth systems were picking up massive energy readings. Captain Min-jung on the Daegu Hammer reported that her engineering team was working hard to boost their sensors. Then space itself seemed to tear open. The first alien ship came through, the hole in space like a giant metal beast. It was 3 times bigger than any human ship Taemin had ever seen. Its hull was dark purple and covered in strange markings that glowed with blue light. Weapons ports lined its sides like the teeth of a monster. "Dear God," whispered someone on the bridge. More ships followed. Dozens, then hundreds. They kept coming through the tear in space until the darkness was filled with alien vessels. Each one was different, but all were huge and covered in weapons. Some looked like giant spears, others like floating cities with gun towers everywhere. Hyun-woo, the fleet's intelligence officer, was working fast at his station. "Sir, I'm picking up their communications." "The computer is trying to translate. What are they saying?" Taemin asked. "Give me a minute." Hyun-woo's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Okay, I've got some of it. They're calling themselves the Zelthari Empire. And, sir, they're talking about conquering Earth." Taemin felt cold. "How long do we have?" "They're planning a 3-day attack. Complete conquest. Then they want to turn humans into slaves and strip mine our planets." The alien fleet was moving now, heading toward Earth like a swarm of metal insects. Their ships moved in perfect formation, showing they had done this many times before. "Sir," called out Ensign Young-soo from the communications station, "I'm getting signals from the other scout ships. They're all asking for orders." Taemin looked at the screen showing the alien fleet. His 12 ships were like ants facing elephants. They had no chance in a straight fight, but they were the only warning Earth would get. "Open a channel to all ships," he said. When the green light showed all ships were listening, Taemin spoke clearly. "This is Commander Taemin to all scouting vessels. We have discovered a large alien fleet heading for Earth. They plan to conquer our home and enslave our people." He paused, looking around his bridge at the young faces of his crew. Most of them had never been in a real battle. "We are not a fighting fleet," he continued. "We are scouts. But we are the only thing standing between these aliens and Earth. We cannot stop them, but we can slow them down. We can make them pay for every mile they travel toward our home." Captain So-jin's voice came through the radio. "What are your orders, Commander?" Taemin thought fast. The aliens were moving in a tight group, confident that nothing could threaten them. That confidence might be their weakness. "We split up," he said. "Use the asteroid belt and the outer planets for cover. Hit them fast and run away. Don't try to fight them head-on. Just make them angry and confused. Make them waste time hunting us instead of attacking Earth." "Sir," said Hyun-woo, "I've been listening to more of their communications." "They think we're Earth's main defense fleet. They don't know we're just scouts." This gave Taemin an idea. "Good. Let them keep thinking that. If they believe they're fighting our best ships, they might be more careful." More afraid. The alien fleet was getting closer. Taemin could see individual ships now on the main screen. Some had multiple gun turrets that could turn in all directions. Others had what looked like energy weapon arrays that glowed with dangerous light. "All ships, this is your final briefing," Taemin said into his microphone. "Remember, we are not trying to win. We are trying to buy time. Every hour we keep them busy is another hour for Earth to get ready." Captain Ji-ho spoke up from his stealth ship. "Commander, what about the primary fleet? Can't we call them back?" Taemin's heart sank. The primary fleet was humanity's real military power, 3,000 ships with the best weapons and most experienced crews. But they were fighting a war in another galaxy too far away to help. The primary fleet is in the Andromeda sector, he said. Even if we could reach them, it would take months for them to get back. The bridge was quiet as everyone understood what this meant. They were alone. Sir, said Lieutenant Byung-ho, the alien fleet is changing course. They've spotted us. On the main screen, several alien ships were turning toward the Soul's Pride. Red lights began flashing on the weapon systems. All ships, scatter, Taman shouted. Begin hit-and-run attacks. Make every shot count. For Earth. The 12 human ships broke formation and disappeared into the darkness, heading for the asteroids and moons where they could hide. Behind them, the massive alien fleet continued its march toward Earth, no longer unopposed but not yet understanding what they were truly facing. The first battle between humanity's scouts and the Zelthari Empire had begun. Admiral Vextar stood in the command center of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, staring at the tactical display with growing anger. What should have been a simple conquest was turning into a nightmare. Red dots on the screen showed damaged ships. Gray dots showed ships that were completely destroyed. Too many gray dots. Report, he said to his tactical officer. Sir, we have lost 47 vessels in the past week. The human resistance is much stronger than expected. Vextar's long fingers drummed against the metal surface of his command table. His gray skin was darker than usual, a sign of stress among his people. The Zelthari Empire had conquered 63 worlds, and never had they faced such fierce resistance from what appeared to be a primitive species. How many human ships are we facing? He asked. Our intelligence suggests 12 vessels, sir. But they fight like ghosts. They appear, strike, and vanish before we can respond. 12 ships, 12. Vextar's invasion fleet numbered over 400 vessels. Yet these humans were making them look like fools. Worse, word of the slow progress was reaching other parts of the Empire. His reputation was being damaged, sir, called out Communications Officer Zalmoth. We're receiving a priority signal from High Command. They want to know why the conquest is taking so long. Vextar felt his stomach tighten. The Empire's leaders expected quick victories. They had given him this fleet based on his promise that Earth would fall in 3 days. Now, after 2 weeks, he was no closer to victory than when he started. Tell them we encountered unexpected resistance, he said, but we will have the planet soon. He hoped that was true. Meanwhile, Captain Young-soo was running for his life. His ship, the Ulsan Vengeance, was the most damaged vessel left in the human scouting fleet. Half his weapons were destroyed. His shields were failing. His engines were barely working, but he was still fighting. Sir, called out his weapons officer, Lieutenant Jae-sung. Enemy cruiser approaching from behind. Range 2,000 kilometers and closing. Young-soo looked at his tactical screen. The alien ship was much faster than his damaged vessel. He could not outrun it, and he did not have enough weapons left to destroy it. Any asteroids nearby? He asked. Negative, sir. We're in open space, Young-soo thought quickly. His ship might be dying, but his crew was still alive, and they still had one advantage over the aliens. They were willing to take risks that no sane commander would consider. Load our last nuclear torpedo, he ordered. Set it for proximity detonation. Sir, Jae-sung said with confusion. At this range, the explosion will destroy us too. I know, Young-soo replied calmly. But it will also take them with us. The crew worked in silence, understanding what their captain planned. They armed the torpedo and aimed it at the approaching alien cruiser. When the enemy ship got close enough, they would fire and die together. But before Young-soo could give the order to fire, his communications officer shouted, Sir, incoming message from the Soul's Pride. Commander Taemin's voice filled the bridge. Young-soo changed course to heading 27 Mark IV. Captain Sojin is waiting with a trap. Young-soo smiled and turned his ship toward the new heading. The alien cruiser followed just as expected. 5 minutes later, the enemy ship flew directly into Captain Sojin's ambush. Hidden behind a large piece of space debris, the Busan Guardian fired every weapon it had. The alien cruiser exploded in a ball of purple fire. Thanks for the save, Young-soo said over the radio. We take care of our own, Sojin replied. But the victory celebration was short. Hyun-woo's voice came through on the emergency channel, speaking to all remaining ships. All vessels, this is Intelligence Officer Hyun-woo. I've been monitoring alien communications for the past hour. We have a problem, Commander Taemin responded immediately. What kind of problem? Sir, they're starting to figure out who we really are. Their analysts have been studying our ships and tactics. They're beginning to suspect we're not Earth's main defense fleet. This news sent a chill through every human ship. Their entire strategy depended on the aliens believing they were fighting Earth's best forces. If the enemy realized they were only facing scouts, they might become much more aggressive. What exactly are they saying? Taemin asked. Their intelligence officer is asking questions about our equipment. Our ships use older weapon systems. Our hulls are lighter armor. Our tactics are hit and run instead of direct confrontation. He's starting to wonder why Earth's defenders are avoiding major battles. Captain Sojin spoke up from her ship.
How long before they figure it out completely?
Maybe a day. Maybe less. Taemin made a quick decision. All ships new orders. We increase attacks immediately. Make them think we're getting reinforcements from Earth. We need them to believe we're stronger than we appear. Over the next 6 hours, the remaining human ships launched their most aggressive attacks yet. Captain Jiho's stealth ship destroyed 3 alien patrol vessels in quick succession. Captain Minjung used her captured alien destroyer to attack other enemy ships, making it look like Earth had alien technology of its own. But the attacks came at a cost. Captain Hyunsu's ship, the Daegu Lightning, was destroyed while attacking an alien battleship. Captain Sang-ho's vessel, the Busan Thunder, was caught between 2 enemy cruisers and torn apart by crossfire. Now only 7 human ships remained. On the alien flagship, Intelligence Officer Mordek was studying the latest battle reports. Something was wrong with the entire situation, and he was finally beginning to understand what. "Admiral," he said to Vextar, "I need to speak with you privately." They moved to a secure briefing room where Mordak spread out his analysis on a holographic table. "Sir, I believe we have made a serious mistake about this species called humans." "What kind of mistake?" Vextar asked. "Look at their ships." Mordak pointed to images captured during battles. "These vessels are not built for major combat. They have exploration sensors, not military targeting systems. Their weapons are defensive, not offensive. Their armor is light, designed for speed rather than protection." Vextar studied the images. Now that it was pointed out, he could see the differences. These ships looked like scouts or explorers, not warships. "But they fight like warriors," he said. "Yes, sir, but that might be because they're desperate, not because they're elite soldiers. What if these are not Earth's primary defenders? What if they're just advanced scouts?" The question hung in the air like a dark cloud. If Mordak was right, then the Empire had been fighting Earth's equivalent of border guards while the real military was somewhere else. "Where would their main fleet be?" Vextar asked quietly. "Unknown, sir. But based on the technology we've observed, if these are their scouts, their main fleet could be much more advanced than we assumed." Vextar felt cold fear creeping up his spine. He had committed his entire invasion fleet to this attack. If the humans had a larger force waiting somewhere, his ships might be walking into a trap. "Double our sensor sweeps," he ordered. "Look for any signs of additional human ships. And monitor all communication channels. If Earth is calling for help, I want to know about it." As the alien fleet moved deeper into the solar system, both sides prepared for the battles ahead. The humans knew their time was running out, while the aliens were beginning to suspect they had greatly underestimated their enemy. The war was about to change. Captain Jiho crept through the asteroid field like a hunter stalking prey. His ship, the Inchin Shadow, was the smallest in the scouting fleet but also the hardest to detect. The experimental stealth system made his ship nearly invisible to enemy sensors. "Target locked," whispered his weapons officer, Ensign Kang Ho. 3 alien patrol ships moving in formation. Jiho studied the enemy vessels through his scope. They were smaller than the massive ships he had seen earlier, but still twice the size of his own ship. Purple hull plating covered their surfaces, and blue energy flowed along lines that looked like veins. "Fire when ready," Jiho said quietly. The nuclear torpedo shot out from the Shadow's launcher, moving fast and silent through space. Jiho counted the seconds. 10, 20, 30. The explosion lit up the asteroid field like a small sun. The first alien ship broke apart, pieces spinning away into the darkness. The other 2 ships immediately began looking for the attacker, their weapons sweeping back and forth. "Direct hit," Kang Ho reported. 2 ships remaining. "Take us deeper into the asteroids," Jiho ordered. "Let them chase us." The alien ships followed, firing purple energy beams that turned nearby asteroids into glowing dust. but the shadow was already gone, hiding behind a large, spinning rock the size of a building. 20 minutes later, Jiho struck again. Another torpedo, another explosion. The second alien ship died in a ball of fire and metal. The last enemy ship tried to retreat, but Jiho was ready. A third torpedo finished the job. 3 down, Jiho reported over the radio to Commander Taemin. No damage to our ship. Good work, came Taemin's reply. Keep moving. Don't let them track you. While Jiho was hunting in the asteroids, Captain Min-jung was fighting a very different kind of battle. Her ship, the Daegu Hammer, was built for engineering work, not combat. But Min-jung had a clever idea. Are you sure this will work? Asked her chief engineer, Lieutenant Dong-woo. Only one way to find out, Min-jung replied. Watching an alien destroyer approach their position near Jupiter's moon Europa. The hammer looked like it was badly damaged, drifting helplessly with no power. Emergency lights blinked weakly on its hull. It was the perfect bait. The alien destroyer moved closer to investigate. Min-jung could see alien crew members through the windows of the enemy ship's bridge. They looked like tall, thin humans, but with gray skin and large black eyes. Now, Min-jung whispered. Dong-woo hit the switch. Every electromagnetic pulse generator on the hammer fired at once, sending a massive wave of energy toward the alien ship. The destroyer's lights went out instantly. Its engines stopped. The ship began to drift, powerless. Boarding teams, go, Min-jung shouted. Airlocks opened on both ships. Human Marines in spacesuits jumped across the gap between the vessels, carrying cutting tools and weapons. They burned through the alien hull and poured inside. The fight inside the alien ship was short and brutal. The aliens were taller and stronger than humans, but they were not prepared for close combat. Human Marines were trained for this kind of fighting. Ship secured. Came the report from Sergeant Il-sung, leader of the boarding team. 23 alien prisoners. The ship is ours, Min-jung smiled. Now they had an alien vessel to study. Maybe they could learn something useful. Dong-woo, get your teams over there, she said. I want to know how their weapons work. While Min-jung and Jiho were winning small victories, other battles were not going as well. Captain Seung-ho's ship, the Gwangju Defiant, found itself surrounded by 5 alien cruisers near Saturn's rings. Shields at 30%, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Un-suk. We can't take much more of this. Purple energy beams hammered the Defiant from all sides. The human ship's shields flashed and sparked as they absorbed the punishment. Return fire from the Defiant's missiles damaged one alien ship, but it was not enough. Sir, called out Ensign Woo Jin from the engine room. I can give you one more jump, but after that the drive will be dead. Sung-ho looked at the tactical display. 5 enemy ships all firing at him. His shields were failing, and his weapons were almost out of ammunition. In a few minutes his ship would be space dust, but there was another option. All hands, this is the captain, he said over the ship's intercom. Prepare for ramming speed. The bridge crew looked at him with surprise, but they began following orders. This was a suicide attack, and everyone knew it. Set course for the biggest enemy ship, Seung-ho ordered. Maximum acceleration. The Defiant turned toward the largest alien cruiser and began to accelerate. The enemy ship tried to move away, but it was too slow. Purple energy beams struck the Defiant again and again, but the human ship kept coming. Tell my wife I love her, Seung-ho said quietly to his communications officer. The Defiant struck the alien cruiser at full speed. Both ships exploded in a flash of light that could be seen from Earth. But Seung-ho's sacrifice was not wasted. His attack confused the other alien ships and gave Captain Young-soo time to escape with valuable intelligence about enemy tactics. Across the solar system, similar battles were being fought. Captain So-jin used the gravity of Mars to slingshot her ship past a group of enemy vessels, firing every weapon she had during the brief attack run. Captain Hyun-soo hid his ship inside the tail of a comet, using the ice and dust as cover while he picked off alien patrol ships one by one. Commander Taemin watched the reports coming in from his scattered fleet. 3 days had passed since the first contact. His 12 ships were down to 9, but they had destroyed over 30 alien vessels and damaged many more. More importantly, they had done something the enemy did not expect. They had fought back. Sir, said Hyun-woo from his intelligence station, I'm intercepting more alien communications. They're frustrated. This was supposed to be an easy conquest, but we're making them work for every mile. What else are they saying? Taemin asked. They're calling for more ships from their reserve fleet. And, sir, they're starting to ask questions about human military strength. I think our plan is working. Taman nodded. The aliens had expected to brush aside weak defenders and conquer Earth in 3 days. Instead, they were facing determined resistance from ships they thought were primitive. Keep monitoring their signals, he said, and tell all remaining ships to continue hit-and-run attacks. We need to buy more time. Outside, the alien fleet continued moving toward Earth, but they were no longer confident. Every asteroid could hide an enemy ship. Every planet could conceal an ambush. What should have been a simple invasion was turning into a real war, and Earth was getting ready. Lieutenant Da'un woke up in a cold gray room that smelled like metal and fear. Her head hurt badly, and she could taste blood in her mouth. The last thing she remembered was her ship, the Mokpo Defender, exploding around her as alien weapons tore it apart. 2 tall aliens stood in front of her. Their gray skin looked like old leather, and their large black eyes showed no emotion. One wore what looked like a military uniform with silver markings. The other carried a device covered in blinking lights. "You are awake," said the first alien in broken human language. "Good. We have questions." Da'un tried to move, but her arms and legs were locked in place by metal restraints. She was trapped in some kind of interrogation chair that held her body perfectly still. "I am Lieutenant Da'un of the Earth Defense Force," she said clearly. "According to the rules of war, I only have to give you my name, rank, and service number." The second alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your rules do not apply here, human. We are the Zilthari Empire. We make the rules." The alien with the device stepped forward. "This machine reads thoughts and emotions. You cannot lie to us. We will know if you try." Da'un felt scared, but she tried not to show it. She had been trained for this situation, though she had never expected to face it in real life. "First question," said the military alien. "How many ships does Earth have?" "I told you I can only give name, rank, and number." The alien nodded to his companion, who activated the device. Pain shot through Da'un's body like electric fire. She screamed before she could stop herself. "The pain will continue until you answer," the alien said calmly. "How many ships does Earth have?" Da'un gritted her teeth. She thought about her training, about her duty, about her family back on Earth. She could resist for a while, but she was only human. Eventually, the torture would break her. The pain came again, worse this time. Her vision went white, and her body shook uncontrollably. When it stopped, she was gasping for air. "Please," she whispered, "just kill me." "Death is for later," the alien replied. "First answers. Tell us about Earth's military." The torture continued for hours. Da'un tried to resist, tried to stay strong, but the pain was beyond anything she had ever experienced. Slowly, bit by bit, information began to slip out. "The scouting fleet," she gasped after another wave of agony. 12 ships, just scouts." The aliens looked at each other with interest. "Scouts?" the military alien asked. "Not your main defense fleet?" Da'un realized her mistake, but it was too late. The information was already out. "Where is your main fleet?" the interrogator demanded. More pain, more screaming. Da'un's mind began to crack under the pressure. "Andromeda," she whispered. "The primary fleet is in Andromeda." The aliens became very excited at this news. They began talking to each other in their own language, speaking so fast that their translation devices could not keep up. "How many ships in this primary fleet?" the military alien asked. Da'un knew she should not answer, but the pain was waiting. She could feel the torture device charging up, ready to send more electricity through her body. 3,000, she said, and immediately hated herself for the betrayal. The 2 aliens stared at her in shock. 3,000 ships was 10 times larger than the invasion fleet currently attacking Earth. "You lie," said the interrogator. "The machine says she tells the truth," replied his companion, checking the readouts on his device. They asked more questions about human technology, about Earth's defenses, about why the primary fleet was in another galaxy. Each time Da'un tried to resist, the torture began again. Each time she broke a little more. By the end, they knew everything. The primary fleet had been fighting a war in Andromeda for 5 years. Earth was defended only by local militia and the 12 scout ships. The communication systems to reach the primary fleet required weeks to set up because of the massive distance involved. When the interrogation finally ended, Da-Un hung limply in her restraints, broken in body and spirit. The aliens left her, alone in the gray room while they reported their findings to their superiors. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Vextar listened to Intelligence Officer Mordak's report with growing horror. "Repeat that," Vextar said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sir, the human prisoner confirms our analysis. The 12 ships we have been fighting are scouts. Earth's real military is a fleet of 3,000 warships currently engaged in combat operations in the Andromeda Galaxy." Vextar sat down heavily in his command chair. His entire invasion plan had been based on faulty intelligence. The Empire's spies had intercepted human communications and concluded that Earth was a minor world with primitive defenses. What they had actually been monitoring was routine civilian traffic and local security chatter. "How long would it take this primary fleet to return?" he asked. "Unknown, sir, but the prisoner indicated that Earth's government has been trying to contact them since our arrival. If successful, the human reinforcements could arrive in weeks or months." Vexatar looked at the tactical display showing his fleet's position. They were deep inside Earth's solar system now, committed to the attack. If 3,000 advanced, human warships showed up, his 400 ships would be vastly outnumbered. "What is the technology level of this primary fleet?" he asked. "Based on what we've observed from the scouts, sir, their main fleet could be significantly more advanced. Remember, these scout ships with outdated equipment have destroyed nearly 50 of our vessels." The bridge was completely silent as everyone absorbed this information. If 12 scout ships could cause such damage, what could 3,000 frontline warships do? "Sir," said Communications Officer Zalmoth nervously, "we're receiving another priority transmission from High Command. They want an immediate status report." Vextar closed his eyes. How could he explain this to his superiors? How could he tell them that he had committed the Empire's entire invasion force against what the humans considered a frontier outpost? "Sir," Mordak continued, "there's more. According to the prisoner, the scout fleet was never intended to fight a major battle. They were equipped for reconnaissance and early warning only. The fact that they have delayed our advance for 2 weeks using improvised tactics and obsolete weapons suggests that human military doctrine is far more sophisticated than we assumed." Vextar opened his eyes and looked around his bridge at the faces of his officers. He could see the fear there. They were all beginning to understand what this meant. "What are your recommendations?" he asked Mordak. "Sir, I recommend immediate withdrawal to a safe distance while we reassess the situation. If the human primary fleet is as powerful as indicated, continuing this invasion could result in the complete destruction of our force." But Vextar knew withdrawal was not an option. He had promised his superiors a quick victory. His career, his honor, and possibly his life depended on conquering Earth. The Empire did not forgive failure. "No," he said finally. "We continue the attack, but we move faster. We must capture Earth before their main fleet can return." "Sir," said his tactical officer, "our advance has been slowed by the constant harassment from the remaining scout ships. Perhaps we should focus on destroying them first." Vextar nodded. "Yes. No more cat and mouse games. We hunt down every remaining human ship and destroy them all. Then we take Earth quickly, before the humans can call in reinforcements." Orders went out across the alien fleet. No more cautious advancement. No more defensive formations. Every available ship would join the hunt for the remaining human scouts. But in the depths of space, Commander Taemin was already preparing for the final battle. His 5 remaining ships were nearly out of ammunition and fuel, but they had bought Earth precious time, and somewhere in the darkness beyond the solar system, long-range sensors were detecting massive energy signatures approaching at incredible speed. The primary fleet was coming home. Commander Taemin stood alone on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, watching the final battle reports come in. His fleet was gone. Captain Sojin's ship had been destroyed 3 hours ago while defending a communications relay near Mars. Captain Young Soo had died ramming his crippled vessel into an alien battleship. Captain Min Jung's captured destroyer had been hunted down and obliterated by 6 enemy cruisers. Only the Soul's Pride remained, hiding in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon. Taemin's ship was barely functional. The engines were failing, the weapons were empty, and life support was running on emergency power. But they had done their job. Earth had gained 3 weeks to prepare its defenses. "Sir," whispered Lieutenant Byung-ho from his damaged sensor station. "Long-range scanners are picking up something strange." Taemin looked at the flickering display screen. At the edge of the solar system, space itself seemed to be rippling like water. "What are you seeing?" he asked. "Hyperspace distortions, sir. Massive ones. Something big is coming through." Taemin felt his heart begin to race. Could it be? After all this time, after all the sacrifice, was help finally arriving? The distortions grew larger and brighter. Then, like a miracle emerging from darkness, the first ship appeared. It was huge, 3 times the size of the largest alien vessel, with a hull that gleamed like polished steel. Blue energy flowed along its surface in complex patterns that hurt to look at directly. Gun turrets the size of buildings covered every surface. This was not a scout ship or a patrol vessel. This was a weapon of war. More ships followed. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Each one was different in design, but all shared the same massive scale and obvious lethality. Some looked like flying fortresses with armor plating several meters thick. Others resembled giant daggers covered in weapon ports. A few were so large they seemed more like moving space stations than ships. "My God," Byung-ho whispered. "It's the primary fleet." On the bridge of the lead ship, the New Soul, Admiral Kang Min studied the tactical display with grim satisfaction. His fleet had traveled for 3 weeks at maximum speed after receiving Earth's distress call. 3 weeks of wondering if they would arrive too late to save their homeworld. "Fleet status report," he said to his operations officer. "Sir, we have 3,147 ships operational. All weapon systems are charged and ready. All crews are at battle stations." Kang Min nodded. His fleet had been fighting continuously in Andromeda for 5 years, battling an aggressive alien species called the Hegemony. They had won that war through superior tactics, advanced technology, and sheer determination. Now they were home, and someone had dared to threaten Earth in their absence. "Communications. Broadcast on all frequencies," he ordered. "Channel open." "Sir." Kang Min's voice carried across the solar system, reaching every human and alien ship within range. "This is Admiral Kang Min of the Earth Defense Force Primary Fleet. To all human survivors, you have fought with honor and courage. Your sacrifice has not been forgotten. To the alien invaders, you have attacked our home and killed our people. You now face humanity's full attention." On the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Vextar stared at his tactical display in complete terror. The screen showed thousands of contacts, each one representing a human warship larger and more advanced than anything in his fleet. The energy readings alone were beyond anything the Zelthari Empire had ever encountered. "How many?" he asked in a voice barely above a whisper. "Over 3,000 confirmed contacts, sir," replied his tactical officer, who was shaking as he read the numbers. "Still counting. Sir, their smallest ships are bigger than our largest battleships." Vexitar felt his legs give way, and he collapsed into his command chair. This was not a fleet. This was a force of nature. The Zelthari Empire's 400 ships looked like toys compared to what was bearing down on them. "Sir," said Communications Officer Zalmoth, his voice cracking with fear, "the human ships are moving into attack formation." "What are your orders?" Vextar looked around his bridge at the faces of his officers. They were all looking at him, waiting for orders that could save them. But he knew there were no such orders. They had awakened a sleeping giant, and now that giant was fully awake and very, very angry. "All ships," he said slowly. "Begin immediate retreat. Maximum speed." But it was already too late. Captain Yoonji of the destroyer Pohang Thunder was the first to open fire. Her ship alone carried more firepower than the entire scouting fleet that had died defending Earth. Blue energy beams lanced out across space, striking an alien cruiser dead center. The enemy ship simply ceased to exist, vaporized by weapons that operated on principles the Zelthari did not understand. More human ships joined the attack. The space around the alien fleet filled with energy weapons, missile swarms, and exotic technologies that turned matter itself into weapons. Entire alien formations disappeared in seconds, erased by the focused fire of humanity's finest warships. Admiral Dong Hyun, the overall commander of all human military forces, watched the battle from his flagship, the Soul's Revenge. This massive dreadnought was the size of a small city, armed with weapons that could crack planets if needed. "Status report," he said calmly. "Sir, enemy fleet is attempting to retreat," reported his tactical officer, Captain Jae-wook. "They are heading for the edge of the solar system at maximum speed. Let some of them escape," Dong-hyun ordered. "I want survivors to carry word back to their empire. I want them to understand what happens when you attack Earth." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 4 hours. The alien invasion fleet was not destroyed completely, but it was broken. Of the 400 ships that had entered Earth's solar system with such confidence, only 37 managed to escape into hyperspace. The rest were debris floating in the darkness. Commander Tae-min watched the end of the battle from his hiding place behind Jupiter's moon. His radio crackled with transmissions from the primary fleet as they began search and rescue operations, looking for survivors from the scouting force. "This is the new Seoul to any surviving scout vessels," came Admiral Kang-min's voice. "Please respond." "You are safe now." Tae-min keyed his microphone with shaking hands. "This is Commander Tae-min of the Soul's Pride, last surviving ship of Scouting Fleet 7. Commander, this is Admiral Kang-min. You and your people have done something remarkable. Against impossible odds, you held the line until we could arrive. Every human in this fleet owes you a debt that can never be repaid." Tae-min closed his eyes and felt tears running down his face. They had done it. Somehow, against all odds, they had saved Earth. 1 week later, a memorial ceremony was held in space near where the first battle had taken place. 12 beacons were placed in orbit around the sun, one for each ship of the scouting fleet. The names of every crew member who had died defending Earth were engraved on monuments that would orbit the sun forever. Commander Tae-min, promoted to captain for his leadership during the crisis, spoke at the ceremony. "These brave men and women died believing they were buying time for Earth's defenses to prepare," he said. "They did not know that their real victory was giving the primary fleet time to return home. With 12 old ships and outdated weapons, they faced an empire and made it blink. They proved that humans do not surrender, do not retreat, and do not abandon their home without a fight." The memorial beacons began broadcasting a simple message into space, in every language known to humanity and several alien tongues as well. "Here lie the crews of Scouting Fleet 7, who stood against the darkness so that others might see the light. They were scouts, explorers, and peacekeepers who became warriors when their home was threatened. They asked for no glory and expected no reward except the safety of those they loved. Remember their names. Remember their sacrifice. Remember that heroes come in all forms, and sometimes the smallest light can hold back the greatest darkness." In the months that followed, word of Earth's victory spread throughout the galaxy. The Zelthari Empire, humbled and broken, sent ambassadors to negotiate peace treaties. Other alien civilizations who had been planning their own attacks on human colonies quietly abandoned those plans. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity's scouts were dangerous enough. Their main fleet was something entirely different, and in the depths of space, the primary fleet resumed its patrol of human space, watching and waiting. They had come home once to defend Earth. They would come again if needed. The sleeping giant was awake, and it was not going back to sleep anytime soon.